2, 1, go. Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome back to another game of the Chinese LPL. My name is Caster Sata and I'm joined by SouldraXD. How you doing, Souldra?
I'm doing very well, and I'm very excited between this match between Energy Pacemaker Hong Kong and Invictus Gaming. IG just recently won the past tournament that took place right before the LPL started, the Demacia Cup Season 1, and they beat Team World Elite to get first place in that. And EP.HK has been looking really strong in both the online qualifier and their first match of the season.
And despite them recently picking up Domho in the support role, they did secure Amazing J in that top spot to fill out their new opening in the roster. So hopefully we will be seeing some exceptional play. While it does mean that this team is a little bit fresh to the LPL scene, they've had a solid 2 or 3 weeks to practice, so I expect to see some solid play.
Right. The focus for EP.HK, is definitely on Amazing J and Kane. Kane is the AD carry, and those two players always seem to be collecting all the farm for Energy Pacemaker. They seem to be their teammates seem to be feeding them the kills, and they're always the main carries. They were always the main carries throughout their online qualifiers. So look for Amazing J and Kane to really try to spearhead EP.HK's progress towards the win in this game.
And this is sort of a pattern that I've been seeing in the past few LPL games that we've seen. Most of the teams are oriented around their AD carry and their top lane, and really only use their mid lane to just sort of push objectives. Unlike in the EU and NALCS, where you have mid people like Bjergesen who just try to carry the game through sheer skill alone. It seems as though the LPL scene is focused more on getting that AD carry role fed and letting people like Name and Styes carry.
Right, and here we see the immediate lock-in of Lucian. They were hovering over Jax, but Lucian is a really good pick for a hyper carry like Kane, and that basically ensures that he will be able to survive in lane, given that he has a relatively good play comes out of Dumho. But the Rengar Evelynn combo is really dangerous from IG. They've pulled it out before, and remember, you have to remember that this is patch 3.15, so Rengar still has a few bugs that allow him to, pull off things like the triple Q, and Evelynn still. And this is still before Evelynn received her nerfs, so both champions are really strong in the current LPL meta.
Hopefully, Illusion's Evelynn will be able to compare with Ruo's Evelynn from World Elite's previous game.
Right.
We saw Ruo get some excellent picks onto Summer, who just was not able to survive the immense amount of burst damage that Evelynn does. And we talked a bit about Evelynn's build in the previous video. Ruo didn't go for that AD and then into tank style Evelynn that is going to soon be popularized in the NALCS. He instead decided to go for pure ability power, picking up Spirit of the Spectral Wraith, Deathfire Grasp, and Void Staff to shred through his targets. So hopefully Kane will be able to deal with that.
Right, and I mean, the thing for Kane is that he does have a Gragas and Leona appealing for him, so I suspect that he will be able to put some distance, at least initially, before the burst occurs, between himself and the front line of Rengar and Evelynn on the side of IG. Ezreal is a very much Kid pick. Kid loves playing champions like Lucian, like Ezreal, the Trinity Force carries that utilize really good spacing and that have escapes in order to sustain himself and keep himself alive throughout team fights. The Lulu pick is fairly standard. A Lulu versus Gragas lane goes relatively even for both sides in this matchup, and I don't expect there to be many early kills in this mid lane.
And Ezreal does scale very well with Trinity Force. That Sheen passive applies to his Mystic Shot, as Mystic Shot is, for some unknown reason, considered an auto attack. But the most defining factor I feel with Ezreal players is how they use their Arcane Shift to Arcane into the fight and try to get that extra minor tick of damage, or use it defensively for positioning. What sort of a player is Kid?
Well, Kid will usually use his Arcane Shift to dodge initial burst damage early. So, burst damage coming out from champions like Gragas on Super Cat, as well as the Dr. Mundo on Amazing J. He'll try to position himself outside of their reach. And then, as you as you might know, Arcane Shift does have a passive ability that when you land any other of Ezreal's abilities, the cooldown for Arcane Shift does shorten. So Kid will usually be on the outside of team fights, hopefully with a wall between him and the enemy tank line. Keep spamming. He'll start to spam those abilities, and a lot of times IG donates blue buff to Kid in order for him to spam those abilities more quickly. And when champions like Mundo or Shyvana do eventually catch up to Kid's Ezreal, he'll be able to Arcane Shift out of a team fight again.
And I think that is going to work really well, as he will be able to do enormous amounts of damage over the duration of the team fight. There's a lot of hard engage coming out of Invictus, out of EP, so they should be able to keep up with Kid on Ezreal as far as damage. But interestingly enough, ZZ Tai locking in that Riven. Now, Riven made it through the ban phase. This is the first time we've seen Riven in the LPL, and like we've been talking about, this is patch 3.15, so she still has enormous scaling with her Valor Shield and can soak quite a bit.
Right. I mean, Riven is a very famous counter to Gragas. People might recall Faker playing Riven against another Gragas during the OG and Champions winter season, but what's more surprising to me is that IG decided not to lock in a mid Lulu. It might have been an open pick, or that might have been what they were planning from the start, but this is one of the first times we've seen Lulu outside of the middle lane, outside of that AP carry role for a Chinese team.
And Lulu doesn't scale quite as well when she is forced to rely on standard gold generation from that ancient coin, and even laning up against Kitty's Leona may be forced to take a Doran's shield just to deal with the trade that Leona and Lucian can throw out. The Sunlight double tap passive combo is rather scary to lane against, but I think that Kid and Kitty's should be able to deal with it just fine.
Right, and you're exactly right that the Light Slinger combo that's coming out from Kayn, especially combined with Leona's passive from Dumho, is really dangerous in lane. I'm wondering whether IG is going to decide to... whether Energy Pacemaker Hong Kong is going to decide to lane swap this one, because Ezreal Lulu lane is a really heavy trade lane, and Ezreal Lulu will usually come out on top in a duel with Lucian and Leona, just because Lulu is a ranged champion. Kitties on Lulu did also pick up that Ignite, which gives him all the extra oomph in lane.
Domho opting for the exhaust. That does mean he's going to be forced to try to get those safer standard engages, and this is really interesting out of Invictus Gaming, seeing all of Energy Pacemaker rush for the red buff. They're not even trying to contest it and going for the immediate invade, but Energy Pacemaker with a very unique 5-man recall. Look like they might catch some people out of Invictus out of position as Domo and Amazing J lead the charge. They're waiting to get into the tri-bush, and let's see if they will be able to collapse onto ZZ Tai.
Right, it looks like they're going to get cut out, and the nice thing for IG is that, and they actually use a blue trinket right there, but the nice thing for IG is that they have a trinket ward placed at their blue buff, so even if Energy Pacemaker Hong Kong does decide to invade the blue buff, IG will know exactly where EP.HK is at every single moment while they're stealing away this blue buff.
And I love the reaction from Invictus Gaming. They try to go for the blue buff. They are going to see all 5 members of Energy Pacemaker. PDD caught out of position, forced to flash, gets locked down with the Zenith Blade. First blood goes over to Kid on Lucian.
Right. The smart thing for IG to do, knowing that they had no vision of any of the members of EP.HK on the map, would have just been to stay and steal that red buff away. Unfortunately, PDD does get caught. This will set Evelyn. This will set Illusion's Evelyn significantly behind, because Evelyn almost solely relies on that blue buff early, especially to pull off early ganks. So you really have to wonder at how effective Illusion's going to be, at least within the first 10 minutes of the game.
And interestingly enough, Invictus Gaming opting for the lane swap. They're not going to go for their very powerful Lucian Leona lane against Kid and Kitties. Actually, that's completely switched. Kid and Kitty's going for the lane swap in the top lane to try to shut down Amazing J with Name and Domho, instead taking the bottom lane to shut down PDD on Rengar. And with PDD already dying once, that is going to be really difficult for him to trade, but here comes Bu Ping catching ZZ Tai out of position. ZZ Tai dodges the Sonic Wave, flashes and throws down a bit of Valor to soak some damage. Red buff not going to give him the kill. A nice gank out of Bu Ping, but it's not going to be successful.
And you can see that we actually made a slight mistake. Illusion does have double buffs, so very good reaction. Very good reaction from Illusion. Right when he saw the 5-man invade come out from Energy Pacemaker Hong Kong, he traveled all the way to EP.HK's blue buff and decided to steal that away before going to his own red. One of the reasons Kid and Kitty's decision to opt out of a 2v2 lane shows a relative amount of confidence, and this is basically their way of saying we can burst down this turret, especially since Lulu is a ranged champion and Leona's melee. We can burst down this turret well before the opposing lane of Energy Pacemaker Hong Kong's is able to touch ours. So this is their way of basically demanding a situation to happen where they take a tower, rotate down to the bottom lane, and reset the minion waves in that bot lane.
Bu Ping going for a bit of action in the top lane with Amazing J, forced to deal with that incredible pressure out of both Kid and Kitties. Again, with this lane swap, Kid and Kitties are showing that they want to try to take an early advantage against EP.HK, as they're not going to be able to get a really solid laning phase against Kayn and Domho. So by combating Kayn and Domho, they will get a few more items, but unfortunately, until that turret falls, that means that Kayn and Domho are going to have a bit of an early advantage.
Right. I mean, you'll see Illusions just trying to hang around, trying to bait Super Cat's Gragas in for a play, but we might see another fight here.
Illusion catches Bu Ping out of position. Bu Ping with the recall has picked up a Doran's Blade, so he can trade rather favorably with Illusion, but is just going to ward jump Array, and ZZ Tai has complete control over this mid lane. We can see him even taking a few turret hits to shove Super Cat's Gragas out of position under this turret.
Right, Super Cat is completely out of mana. As I was saying before, Riven is a pretty hard counter to Gragas, so that's not outside of the realm of expectations for this lane. Illusion keeps trying to make a gank happen in this lane, but ZZ Tai just is pushing this lane so far ahead, and I honestly don't think that even with the Valor shield that they can dive this Gragas at this point in the game.
ZZ Tai does have Ignite, so he can throw down a bit of damage, but Bu Ping has shown himself in the bottom lane for IG, and this is going to be the first turret of the game finally falling in favor of EP.HK, so they will take that early advantage. Unfortunately, that does mean that Kid and Kitties were not quite as successful in their lane swap as they would like to have been. We can see Kid is at 50 farm, and Illusion is still waiting in this mid lane. He did get the invade to shut down Bu Ping's Wraiths, but this is just so crazy patience out of Illusion, and he's even spotted by the turret.
Right. I mean, this is a pattern of, Illusion basically, waiting around mid lane, going towards... Oh, no, now we see a dragon being taken. This is really interesting.
EP.HK putting on some very, very early pressure against Invictus. They're trying to snowball that early dragon into another early turret, into another advantage. Super Cat is level 6, so he does have Explosive Cask. ZZ Tai actually not level 6 quite yet, so he can't quite punish this with a broken wings, but it looks like he might go in. Here comes PDD. Illusion tries to get the Smite Steal, is not successful. Zenith Blade locking down ZZ Tai. PDD taking a bit of damage, and again, PDD is going to be the target for EP.HK. They secure a 2-0 lead and the Dragon.
There are two things very wrong with what IG just did right there. Actually, three things, sorry. The first thing was they didn't have the proper ward coverage in order to know exactly where every member of this EP.HK squad was in order to position themselves around. Two, their duo bot lane was towards the top side of the map. Therefore, it was automatically a 3-on-4, and they should have known that there was no way of contesting that dragon. And even if they had taken the dragon, they would have at least given up 2 or 3, even possibly 3 kills to fight for that objective. The third thing is that the members of IG should have noticed that Super Cat on his Gragas was in fact level 6, while ZZ Tai was level 5. I suspect, actually, that because Illusion hanged out so so frequently in the middle lane, he leached a lot of experience from ZZ Tai, and therefore ZZ Tai wasn't able to combat Gragas' explosive cast with his own ultimate.
And that is going to put ZZ Tai just a bit behind. We can see he has added a Brutalizer to continue to punish Supercat. Supercat, in the meanwhile, has opted for Fiendish Codex and a Tear of the Goddess. And that's not something you see on an AP carry every so often.
Right. I mean, this Tear of the Goddess signals to us, the audience, that Supercat on his Gragas expects this game to go for a relatively long time. So basically, all EP.HK wants to do is let their Mundo scale up, let their Lucian scale up relatively well, because Lucian actually does beat Ezreal in the late game, and let Gragas scale up to a point where he's able to completely one-shot the enemy AD carry or AP carry with his explosive cast barrel roll combo. So while Tear of the Goddess isn't the best buy, it's not necessarily a horrible buy as well, especially given that the Dragon objective has already been taken by EP.HK, and they don't need to battle for any other objective for about another 10 or 15 for another 6 to 10 minutes. So.
So that is going to put EP.HK in a very comfortable position for the rest of this laning phase, which means that it's going to fall to IG, Illusion specifically, to get ganks to make action happen. We can see that Kayn has added a BF sword to his list of items, so that does mean he's going to do enormous amounts of damage and not going to opt for an early Vampiric Scepter or Trinity Force. The engage goes down as Domo dives onto Kid to try to catch him. Illusion coming in from behind, throwing out a lot of damage. Agony's Embrace catches the slow, but the culling forces Illusion to flash away, and this is now Kid backing away from the very powerful Kayn, and Solar Flare catches Kitty's flash from Kid, allows him to escape, but Zenith Blade for a bit of chase, a good Wild Overgrowth, gets the knock-up exhaust, locks Kitty's further down, but he has enough health to survive. Here comes Booping from the side, another Arcane Shift, allows Kid to escape, a Flash Dissonance catches Kid, he's slowed, will he be able to escape? Domho not going to go for the dive. ZZ Tai in the meanwhile turning onto Supercat in the mid lane and securing a kill. IG survives.
Right, and I mean, basically, very good job by Kid deciding to hold onto his Arcane Shift right until Booping on Lee Sin came in with that. Really, EP.HK should have had their own side of the jungle warded, especially if the tower was taken and they noticed that the bottom lane of IG was aggressively pushing in that side of the map. So, I mean, good play from both teams, but, I mean, we'll see here. This is probably a sloppy engage by Supercat.
ZZ Tai throwing down the ultimate to catch Supercat. Explosive Cask was used, and ZZ Tai immediately turned onto Supercat, who didn't quite have his body slam. He was forced to flash away, but just took too much damage, and ZZ Tai secured himself a quick advantage over Supercat.
Right, if you don't hit the explosive cask, barrel roll, and body slam all in one combo, that almost always spells death. But here we see another fight.
ZZ Tai gets caught by the explosive cask. A delayed Sonic Wave catches ZZ Tai. He's going to be locked down. Supercat secures himself a revenge kill, bringing it to 1-1 in the mid lane.
Right, and I mean, that's just a really nice heads-up play from Booping on his Lee Sin. Booping knew that because ZZ Tai had gotten a relatively aggressive early kill onto Supercat's Gragas, he could just come in and make use and take advantage of ZZ Tai's confidence and get a kill on his Riven.
And now that ZZ Tai has been forced to recall once again, he does have a solid advantage against Supercat, but I believe that the kills are going to be in favor of Supercat, as he does have the additional advantage from the objective gold taken from EP.HK, and now that we have Booping in the top lane, PDD actually rotating up with Illusion, looking like they might be trying to go for a double stealth gank with Thrill of the Hunt and Illusion's Evelyn's Agony's Embrace, but instead they're just going to back away, and PDD is going to be forced to deal with Amazing Jayon Mundo, who we haven't seen much from this game, but he's been focused entirely on farming. And now that he's got a solid lead over PDD, I'm kind of curious what he's doing.
Yeah, it's nice that it's especially nice that you mentioned the double stealth roaming death squad that's coming out from IG, from the top laner PDD and the jungler Illusion. Basically, And it was a really nice heads-up play from Energy Pacemaker Hong Kong to notice that there were champions missing in action all over the map, and they decided to, make a proactive retreat from that top lane. But what I would like to see Energy Pacemaker Hong Kong do is put many more wards around the map, and especially contest objectives like these around Dragon, because stealth is half of what makes Rengar and Evelynn so powerful.
Of course, Evelynn permanently stealth is just rather hard to deal with. Solar Flare catches Evelynn. The Dragon does go down to Invictus Gaming. True Shot Barrage comes across. ZZ-Tai engaging right onto Booping and Kane. Kane securing the kill with Booping, going to take out a lot of that damage away from Invictus Gaming. And now they are currently 2-0. Here's PDD trying to see if he can secure a revenge kill onto Domo. He's low. Will he be able to get the leap? No, he dies mid-leap, is unable to secure it. And that's an ace for Energy Pacemaker. They're 8-1.
Right, and that was real. That was just really. I mean, PDD had the makings of a Sunfire cape. He had a chain vest and a Giant's belt, and there was absolutely no way he could have bursted anyone from the back line of Energy Pacemaker Hong Kong. It was just really overzealous of him to go in like that. ZZ-Tai did a relatively good job of getting his damage off. Honestly, he should have used the third cast of his Broken Wings before casting the active of his ultimate, so that's very unfortunate right there. And you can just see the power of a middle to late game Mundo, especially if that Mundo is ahead of your own top laner. He'll just eat everybody.
Of course, Amazing J had already finished his Sunfire cape at that point, as he had been free farming for a very long time, and the objective advantage is securely in Energy Pacemaker's favor. So with that early lead, that is going to put Energy Pacemaker ahead about 4,000 gold 15 minutes into the game. This point, it is rather minor, as it isn't that much of an item tier difference between the two teams, but we can already see the makings of something scary building out for Energy Pacemaker. Mundo in that top lane is just going to get scarier and scarier.
Right, and we were highlighting before, Sata, earlier in the game, how the main carries for Energy Pacemaker Hong Kong were Amazing J and Kane, and look at their scores. Amazing J has 2 kills, 2 assists. Kane has 3 kills, 2 assists. Both of them have put completely clean and perfect records, and absolutely there have been nearly 0 blemishes in their play from the very inception, from the very start of this game. So really good job from Energy Pacemaker Hong Kong, knowing the limits of their composition and knowing the limits of IG's composition as well.
And not to mention Bu Ping on Lee Sin, currently at 205. He's participated in 7 out of the 8 kills for Energy Pacemaker, opting for a Sightstone for mobility, and a Spirit of the Elder Lizard is going to catch PDD with the Sonic Wave. Let's see if he is going to go for the Insect Kick to knock PDD back into Amazing J, but instead PDD escapes with his life, but at the cost of another turret falling for Invictus Gaming.
Right, and I mean, Invictus Gaming, IG cannot stop this turret siege that's coming out from EP.HK safely, actually. I mean, EP.HK doesn't even have a Gragas with them, doesn't even have Super Cat with them going around the map, yet they exude so much pressure, so much confidence. We might see another fight right here if they get the catch onto ZZ-Tai.
Booping lands the Sonic Wave. He is going to throw down the dissonance after taking a bit of stun,
Nice
but
kick.
Kitty is in position to kick, knocks ZZ-Tai back into the team for EP.HK. Solar Flare locks him down long enough to allow Booping to get yet another kill, bringing him to 305, who immediately turns with Amazing J to secure Kitties on Lulu. Now with both the AP carry, middle AD carry, and Lulu gone, this is going to leave EP to shove this tier 2 turret as the advantage continues to grow. The pressure is only continuing to mount.
And Super Cat wasn't there for that fight at all. His spell rotation, his full spell rotation is actually available. He has his explosive cask up, body slam, and barrel roll all up. They might look to siege down this second tier turret. IG right then actually could have decided to turn the fight, but what happened was that they were just way too uncoordinated. ZZ-Tai got caught out, but when Dumho on his Leona burned his ultimate on just his Solar Flare on just one champion, I mean, IG actually could have decided to, go back in and try to make something happen, but unfortunately, it just didn't work out for Invictus Gaming.
And there we just saw Illusion and PDD the invisible gank squad just waiting in the wings for someone to split off, but very, very patient play out of Energy Pacemaker, securing the kill onto ZZ Tai and then rotating and taking 2 turrets. They're playing safely, they're playing patiently, and that is going to continue to compound their current 7,500 gold lead into a larger and larger differential.
I mean, safe, patient, and pounding is really the name of the game. Look at it this way. I mean, you just see the 4 members of the squad of EP.HK going up to the mid lane to eventually take that middle lane turret, while Amazing J does have his teleport up and can teleport into the fight at any time. You also have to notice the items that are coming out from EP.HK. There are 3 pink wards coming out from Amazing J, Super Cat, and Dumho, all from the side of Energy Pacemaker Hong Kong. Really, really smart play and really wise play coming out from EP.HK. They definitely look wise beyond their years here.
Mm-hmm. And Super Cat demonstrating Gragas is wise indeed, especially in more ways than alcohol, opting for a Zhonya's Hourglass, recognizing that there is still a significant amount of gank potential out of Illusion and PDD, and even still rocking that blue Clairvoyance. This is normally something that you don't see in the LCS, as the range of it is rather small early on, but the boon with this new Clairvoyance in Season 4 is that any unit caught in the Clairvoyance is given vision of, including stealthed units. So if at any time Super Cat suspects there is going to be Illusion and PDD waiting in the wings to go for a stealth gank, he can drop that Clairvoyance and try to spot them out. And even if he does get caught, he's got the Zhonya's Hourglass.
Right, and I mean, honestly, the sad thing is that this IG composition really relied on both of IG's solo laners and his and the jungler getting relatively ahead early in the game. I mean, Rengar, Evelynn, and Riven all do extremely well in the first 20 minutes of the game, and they scale extremely well too. There's no taking away from that. However, what IG wanted to do was, lay down the Evelynn ultimate and just assault the back line, which includes Lucian, Gragas, and Leona all on the side of EP.HK, and just completely wipe them out before turning and collapsing on the tank line of Energy Pacemaker Hong Kong. And during the time where IG is assaulting that back line, we talked about previously before the game actually started, Kid is really good on, saving his flash, saving his arcane shift in order to get himself to maximize his damage and in order to get himself to the most safe positions on the map. However, that just hasn't been happening on for the side of IG. They've been grouping very awkwardly. Amazing J has had some amazing teleports in this game, and I also have to really commend Booping because his ultimates have been on point.
Mm-hmm. And I was just about to talk about how Kayn is doing on Lucian, about the fact that I haven't seen him isolated and alone once this game, but of course, as I say it, he was just alone in that mid lane. Domo is waiting in the wings to secure him, but that was to talk more about how Kayn is doing on Lucian. He does have exceptional amounts of damage, and with this recall, he will be able to complete his Trinity Force, but he has been protected by all of the members of Energy Pacemaker over the course of this entire game. Currently at 3-0-4, he has had absolutely nothing to worry about from Invictus Gaming.
I mean, we say that right now, but Kayn knew that as well. He actually built his Phage and his Sheen before completing a Trinity Force. So he built the Phage and Sheen first, and then decided to go for the Bloodthirster because he knew that he only needed minimal damage to survive in the initial team fights because EP.HK was so ahead, and then he could just go and build a Trinity Force for even more damage towards the mid-game, towards the 25-minute mark.
Mm-hmm. And I really like this aggressive play out of Energy Pacemaker moving forward to try to keep the pressure onto Invictus Gaming. Sonic Wave is going to catch PDD, so I don't think he is going to be able to get those Wraiths. In the meanwhile, there's Split Push Mundo in the bottom lane, Split Push Gragas in the top lane. Invictus Gaming has to make a play now, or they're going to continue to fall into this continuous pressure out of Energy Pacemaker.
Right. The thing that EP.HK has to be careful for, that you can see that they're warding around the Baron pit, and they're obviously thinking about doing Baron. IG has a lot of ways, especially from red side, to get over that Baron pit wall. PDD could use a stealth using his ultimate and jump over. Illusion can just flash over, and ZZ Tai obviously has the Broken Wings combo that can go over the Baron pit wall, while Kid can use his arcane shift. So there are a lot of ways for IG to interrupt any potential moves that EP.HK wants to make. What EP.HK needs to do is they need to ward aggressively on every single point at every single brush in IG's jungle, make use of Amazing J's split push, and eventually make a catch so they can go towards and eventually take that Baron.
EP.HK looking like Booping might catch Illusion out of position, isn't going to spot him as Kayn continues to siege this turret. Kid keeping up with the wave clear of Gragas and Lucian rather well. ZZ on Riven has added a Bloodthirster to his arsenal, so he should be able to do copious amounts of damage if he can get into the backline of EP.HK. But with an Explosive Cask, a Dragon Rage, and Leona, I feel like that's going to be a little bit difficult.
Right, I mean, you can just see how far these two teams are, but we might see another engage right here.
Illusion trying to go forward. PDD going for the invisible gank swat. He manages to get the snare onto Supercat. Solar Flare locks PDD down the Cullen. Catches Illusion, who gets a good Agony's Embrace, but it's not enough. Domo.HK in the front line. Booping with a long range Sonic Strike. Manages to catch PDD, who flashes over the wall. Illusion falls. Domo falls. Booping unfortunately dies too. ZZ Tide looks like he might go down to the Ignite. Amazing J secures that kill with Kayn. Kid is now left dealing with a very scary Mundo indeed. PDD coming around over the wall. True Shot Barrage trying to bring Kayn down, but Kayn has so much damage. He can go 1v3 right now. Looks like he picks up not one now, but 3 kills in that fight as Supercat secures the last kill, and EP.HK are in a very dominant position with a 12,000 gold lead.
That was an amazing combo coming out from Dumho's Leona and Amazing J's Mundo. Dumho actually used his Solar Flare to mitigate all the initial burst coming out from PDD, and then did PDD just leave the game? Oh, it seems that we might be suffering a disconnect right here, which makes me happy because it gives me a little bit more time to talk about that fight, Sata. So what PDD wanted to do was that PDD wanted to come in through the bush and then aggressively just take down all of EP.HK's carries, because both Gragas and Lucian were a bit out of position. You could see that the reason why IG was chasing right there was because Gragas was, being chased, was so far, and he was just disengaging from that turret. But what happened was that Dumho was able to get his Solar Flare onto 2 members, but most importantly, he was able to get his Solar Flare. Those 2 members were PDD and Illusion, the main initiators for Invictus Gaming, and by getting that direct Solar Flare stun onto those champions and having Mundo teleport in right into that brush, they were just able to completely turn around the fight. You could see Dr. Mundo, Amazing J's Dr. Mundo, just tanking turret for what seemed like a millennia while he was just completely wiping IG's champions off the face of the map.
And EP.HK just absolutely dominant in that last team fight. Booping unfortunately did fall, and it was a surrender vote, so I guess PDD and Illusion going for the old StarCraft 2 style leave the game. Unfortunately, that's not how we do it in League of Legends. And game number 1 is going to go to Energy Pacemaker Hong Kong over Invictus Gaming with a very, very convincing team fight. EP.HK has got me looking forward to their further play in the LPL.
Right, I personally believe that PDD tried to make too many plays happen around the map. What he should have done is he should have made use of Mundo's relatively weak early to mid game and just aggressively punished the Dr. Mundo pick from Amazing J. What he should have done is try to take as many towers as he can, use the Rengar split push that was made so famous in OGN during patch 3.15, and try to steamroll, and through split pushing, try to steamroll other objectives on the map. Unfortunately, PDD was down, I think, 20 CS at around 20 minutes, Sata. You pointed that out early in the game. Around 20 CS very early on in the game and just never seemed to catch back up.
And from there, Amazing J just demonstrated incredible prowess on Mundo in team fights, and just he went where he pleased. He pleased to take the enemy team fight, and he did that convincingly. But this is game number 1, going to Energy Pacemaker Hong Kong over Invictus Gaming. Thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Caster Sata. I'm joined by SouldraXD. You can follow us with our links to Twitter in the description. A link to the LPL page is also going to be down there. Catch you guys in the next game.
See you later, guys.